Welcome to Season 3, Episode 2 of the Motatapu podcast for 2026, a once-a-year adventure and one epic day out. This podcast is about making sure that you prepare well so you can make the most of that epic day out at the start of March. Hi, I'm Richard Greer, and I'm the team captain of TeamCPNZ, a coaching company based out of Canterbury, working with athletes all over New Zealand and the world. We work with people on all different levels. So if you want a bit of guidance with your preparation through to regular coaching support, where you get to actually talk to your coach so you can help to achieve your goals and prepare well. We're the ones to make sure that your epic day out is an awesome one so you can relax on the finish line and reflect on a job well done. I've done every event at the Motatapu, from the triathlon in the old days, the ultra, the mountain bike a number of times, and also ticked off the miners trail a couple of times as well. I'll be running the marathon this year, so I look forward to seeing all those runners as they get off the bus and seeing all of you when I finally hopefully make it to the finish line. Today on the podcast, we have TeamCP Coach Tim Hanson, who joins us to discuss the dark art of tapering for an event, so you can stand on the start line in the best shape possible. We also discuss how your taper should vary depending on the Motatapu event that you're lining up for, be it the ultra, the mountain bike, the miners trail, or the marathon. We then welcome Michaela Rogan to the show, a Wanaka Local who's looking to be at the pointy end of the Motatapu mountain bike field on race day. We discuss how she prepares, how she will pace herself, and how she manages her nutrition as a mountain biker over the course. So looking forward to a massive podcast today. Let's rip into it. Is to have a bit of a chat about tapering, something that not everybody does particularly well, but with a few quick tips, maybe we can make sure that we have a good Motatapu. Tim, how are you getting on today?
Good. Thanks, Rich. How you doing?
Yeah, good. Thank you. So tapering, what's your tapering? Are you one of these people that love a good taper or sort of almost dread it?
I love a good taper. I always look forward to it. I'm actually going to look forward to my taper in a couple of weeks for a race that I'm doing. So I really enjoy it. It's a good time to sort of, refresh up and look forward to the race and sort of screw away those last bits. So I love it. I'm a bit more of a sleep in too as well. So you can hit that snooze button a bit more often as well, which is always a bonus, eh?
Yeah, you've done well. That's awesome.
Yeah. Look, Motatapu's coming up, man. What are we, 4 or 5 weeks away? Not too far.
As we record this, we are. Yeah, absolutely. For those people that might be listening, it might be a week or hopefully maybe a bit more than half a week or so out. But anywhere from sort of 4 or 5 weeks away. So not long to go now, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, cool. And I guess we should start with, when we're talking around tapering, like, what is taper? So, tell us a bit more about what it actually is a taper when we say that.
Good question. I guess what we do when we're training is building up our resilience to be able to complete the event for a start. So we're doing that. We're getting deeper and deeper. We're looking to simulate the race. We're looking to do sessions during the week and do longer in the weekend. And basically it gets to a point that if I keep doing this, it's actually not going to allow me to do my best job of race day. So what a taper is basically let's taper off the amount of volume, amount of effort that we're putting in, freshen up a bit, so then I can feel springy and awesome and go and have my best crack at race day, rather than sort of feeling I'm a bit tired because I've done a session 2 days ago.
Yeah, I guess it's that freshness over fitness element, isn't it? Or that kind of mindset, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's one thing I try to really encourage people to think about. That, I mean, one of the challenges with tapering can be tapering and not doing stuff can mean that we get a bit anxious about the fact that we're not doing anything anymore, and we're decreasing our volume to the point that actually, can I do this sort of thing? So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But freshness is number one. Like, if your freshness will trump fitness every day of the week. Example of, hey, I've just been sick. I've got a chest cold. I'm not well. If you go out and do a run, like, you'll be a shell of yourself, versus if you're not as fit as you've always been, but you're fresh and keen and enthusiastic and just give it to me, let's go and run. You'll be bouncing and having a great time. Might not be for the whole time of the event, but definitely the start of it. And then you'll probably perform better, or you will perform better as a result of that anyway. So it gets to that point of, it's about freshness. Get that spring in your step, coil the spring, so then you can go and do your best effort.
Yeah. And like, I guess it's do we have to taper? Like, how important is it, do you think?
It's a good question. I think it varies depending on where you're at. It depends on it depends on your goals. It depends on your training status. It depends on the type of event you're doing. It depends on the duration of the event. It depends on the stress of the event as well, I guess, in terms of on my body. So it's probably useful to look through Motatapu. Motatapu is really diverse, isn't it? There's a mountain bike ride, which is one thing, and then a bunch of different running events effectively. So from really long ultra endurance through to actually kind of relatively short sort of with the Miners Trail run, which is kind of equivalent to a half marathon. Yes, it's 15 Ks run 21, but you've got a hell of a hill in the way. So as we go through those, if you were going to say, I need the longest taper I would say is for the ultra run. Like, you need to be fresh as a daisy. You need to be ready to go. It's going to be a big day out. One of the things that we're considering there is running is hard on our body. So as I go for a run, I've got a bit of, like, as you land and as you're going downhill, you create a little bit of muscle soreness. We don't want any muscle soreness on the start line. If you go for a bike ride, because you're carrying your body weight, you actually don't create the same muscle soreness. You might have tired muscles, but you're not going to have the damaged muscles that you do while you're running. So a cyclist can do a big ride the weekend before and then go and do something like Motatapu. Whereas I definitely wouldn't recommend to do a big long mission of a run and then try and expect to perform to your best on race day. So running versus cycling is one thing. The other thing to think about is probably your training status, and your goals and how long your event is going to take you. So if you are looking to do an event that requires you to work like really hard, like really anaerobic, so I'm huffing and puffing and I'm really working hard, like, you need to make sure that you keep revving the engine quite close to race day. Whereas if it's more of a challenge around just your fitness and your strength to be able to keep moving forward like an ultra run, well, then your taper needs to be a bit longer. So Miners Trail, your taper could be much shorter. The ultra run, your taper definitely needs to be longer as part of that as well. So what I like to think about there is we want to rev the engine and then put the car back in the garage. We don't want to tire you out, but we want you to see how that running feels. And especially if you're sort of more of the Miners Trail end where you're going to be working hard up hills, and the mountain bike, and to extent the marathon a little bit, you need to huff and puff, work, produce a bit of lactic acid in your muscles, feel the bit of, oh gosh, that feels a bit sore kind of thing, and then clear it and then chill out. So example of that is like 3 times 45 seconds of sort of speed effort. So you're going hard, you're feeling like, oh gosh, that's pretty hard for me, but then I'm resting, recovering. So that session might take me 30 minutes by the time I warm up, do the efforts, and then cool down again. So that can be a good thing in race week, to be able to have a session like that to do, so you can kind of rev the engine, know that you can do this, but then not cook yourself either or make your muscles feel tired.
Yeah, and I guess that's a key element with taper, isn't it? So we don't want our body to sort of go, oh, look, my training's done, I can go on holiday now. So we need to give it those little injections of intensity, don't we, just to sort of wake it up a bit so we don't go fully to sleep and we get too lethargic, right?
Yeah, because it can, like, if you how much taper is too much taper? Like, it can actually, you can feel a bit stodgy and slow if you just kind of say, okay, 2 weeks out, I'm going to do nothing. Your body's used to training. Your nutrition and food will be all over the place as a result of that as well. So, and also your head space, you probably won't sleep very well. You might become more nervous than what you normally are, and maybe not a particularly good person to live with. So you do need to keep going, but it's basically the total volume of training that you're trying to cut down. So then you can freshen up. You still want to do the intensity. The intensity is still important, but you just don't want to cut the duration back is the key thing. From an ultra to a marathon runner, hey, 3 weeks is probably quite good. That will be the longest session, and then bring it back, and then bring it back again. It could be like an hour and a half, 2 weeks out. It could be 50 minutes a week out, and then sort of let's dive into race week. A mountain bike, you could do actually a reasonable ride the week before, or maybe 2 weeks before, bring it back, and then bring it back again. Miners Trail is probably similar, like 2 weeks out, then a week before, and then dial into it. Again, it depends on how long you're going to be out there, what your goals are. And you can find the stuff in our Motatapu training guides as well, or to help you out with a bit of that.
Yeah, nice. And just as you were talking before around sort of training status, what came to mind for me was in Training Peaks, you can actually track that form, can't you, if you've got access to those metrics. So I think it's training stress balance or form is the one to look at. Then I think, usually when you're coming into your taper, you're going to be in the negatives quite heavily. And I guess the intent or the objective or outcome we're looking for with a taper is to get us in that positive range. About 0 to 25, I think, is about the premium number.
And as coaches, that's basically what we're trying to do is work with individuals to try and help you. But metrics are one element, but also how are you feeling? How is it going? How are you sleeping? All those other elements that can be harder to track. And it's just a matter of communicating, making sure that you're dialed in. Like 4 things we want to try and do with race day and that taper. We want to be as fit as we can. Generally, we always overdo that probably. That's generally the focus. We want to be injury free. That's an important part of tapering and maybe some aches and pains to get rid of. You want to have a plan of how you're going to do this thing. So you know what your nutrition and how am I going to pace myself. And as we've talked about, tapering is all about freshness. On that injury element, that's another thing that can affect you during a taper. You can start to almost second guess yourself, like, oh, my knee's a bit sore, and then my knee's sore again, and I get all these aches and pains. That can be because you're just doing a bit less, but it could be just mental that I'm just a bit fired up. Like I've had a number of events before, and I can hardly walk 2 days before or the day before or the morning of, but then you go and do the event, and then like a couple of days later, I had a sore knee, didn't I? I don't even remember that I even had that, but you kind of almost produce that. It's almost a way for your mind to help you sit on the couch and chill out a little bit more, I feel sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. And I know what you're saying there, because you're coming into race week and the nerves are starting to come in and you are hypersensitive to a lot of things. So like you say, if you do feel a bit of a niggle in the knee or in the hip or the back, you're like, oh no, I'm injured. In the case it's purely you just don't get right like that. Just that sensitivity is just hyper. So something to think about, I guess, as we move into the last few weeks before a race.
Probably the job is just to go for a run, isn't it? Everything's a little bit better after a run. Keep moving, or a bike ride.
Yeah, absolutely. And around that, like I mentioned before, I really like taper week. I like the taper period, but some people really struggle with it. Any advice for those people?
I think having a plan makes a big difference. I think having someone to look over your shoulder and help you out with it makes a big difference, rather than just trying to manage it yourself. You kind of know you need to do this. So I think that's a key thing. So you can step by step. I need to have a rest day, and it's a guilt-free rest day. That can make a difference. I think nutrition and food is a big part of it as well. Sometimes you're like, oh gosh, I'm not doing this training, so should I eat what I normally eat, have been, sort of thing. So I think managing that is important. Just by decreasing a bit of volume can help your body to like increase the carbohydrates because you're not burning them off so much as well. So that's a way to kind of get yourself ready from a nutritional standpoint too. But I think it's just making sure that you realize what the goal is. If you understand why you're tapering, then it becomes a little bit easier, doesn't it? And if you do sort of have some niggles and injuries, well then that like niggles as in terms of like it just feels a bit achy, things aren't so good, just go for a bit of a run. But I think at the end of the day, we're not trying to stop. Tapering is not stopping. Tapering is just decreasing the volume. So make sure that those sessions that you do within your taper are quite key and targeted, that are short and sharp, and then you'll feel good for them, and hopefully you'll feel like you've got a real spring in your step, and that will build some confidence and away you go. So I think that's the key piece. Use the sessions to help you have a smile on your face and look forward to what race day is about to happen.
Yeah. And I think acknowledging if you are feeling a little bit rubbish, that's okay. It's actually a good thing, if anything. And like if you think about it too, right, like the volume and intensity has come down. So those endorphins and that adrenaline that you were constantly getting leading up to the race are significantly reduced. So naturally you're going to feel average. So I think it's about being aware of that and just acknowledging for what it is. Like I sometimes feel like I've got a head cold, but then when I'm racing, I feel great. So usually when those symptoms come on, I'm like, oh, this is good. I'm right where I need to be.
And I think at the start of a taper, it can always be a little bit harder. You've got to let yourself feel tired. You've got to allow yourself to actually soak it up and rest a little bit. That's part of it too, because I guess a lot of times you're in this routine, you're doing work, you're doing life, but actually to have a couple of days when you're not training after work or not getting up early, it can actually make you feel tireder. It's that whole parasympathetic, sympathetic nervous system just rebalancing out. So you've got to unwind, but then there's a point within our taper we've got to wind it up again, and that's where those faster sessions can happen. So yeah, do some bigger stuff, have some time off, just a day or two or whatever, and then keep moving, but then make sure you like target a couple of key sessions to go and do really well within that taper, so your body knows what's about to come and you can get excited for it.
Yeah, cool. So that's great. So we've done that. We've gone through our 2-week or 3-week taper. We're feeling pretty good. We're about to toe the start line. How should we be feeling? What's the ideal state that we should be in, do you think?
Good question. Like, I think that race plan is important. So you should be feeling organized, and hopefully by having a plan of how you're going to pace yourself, what your nutrition is going to be, etc. That'll help you to just be calm. Know that it's your day and you're going to look after you. Like, you're going to go and execute your day as best as you can. That's the key. But I think you should be just feeling like you're ready to go. Ideally, you should be feeling like you've got a spring in your step and you've called that spring and you're ready to go and test yourself. Sometimes you get sick. Sometimes it's not like that. Sometimes it's not your best day because other stuff comes in there. So you've just got to look after yourself and give yourself the best chance. Sometimes you might not be able to do any training or any of those rev the engine sessions because other stuff has happened, but that's okay. Number one is giving yourself the opportunity to stand on the start line. We always say getting to the start line is the hardest bit. If you get there, well, then you're away laughing. So yeah, you should be feeling excited. You should be feeling fresh, ideally. You should be feeling organized, and you should have a smile on your face ready to go. And if you're not, well, actually, if you're on the start line, that's still a win.
Yeah, nice. And that, like you said, coiled up energy, right? So there's a lot of people I work with that are like, oh, I feel like I should be doing more, Tim. I need to be doing more. It's like, let's just try and calm the farm here a little bit, and like that's the way you should be feeling. You should be like, oh, am I questioning things here? Like, am I doing enough? So, and again, that awareness, they'll go, no, this is where I should be. I should be reducing it down is really key. So you can get on the start line. Fizzing is the key thing.
It's easier to say, let's just go and do this. It's harder to say, no, we won't, especially when you're feeling good for it. So as a coach, like pulling back, but also as an athlete for us just to go, okay, well, we just need to chill out a little bit, and that will allow me to have my best day out. So yeah, that's great advice.
Nice. Cool.
Good job. Well done, Tim. Hey, yeah, good job. Thanks for your time. Good to chat. Good to catch up as always. And all the best for your next event. And we'll see everybody down in Motatapu very soon.
Awesome. Exciting. Best of luck, everyone.
Yeah. Well done, Tim.
See you guys.
Okay, I'm here with Michaela Rogan, who is lining up for the Motatapu mountain bike ride, and she is going to be at the front of the peloton, going to give it heaps on race day. Michaela, that's a pretty big intro. How are you feeling about that?
I mean, I'll give it all I've got. I don't know how much I've got, but I'm looking forward to it, and
nice. Keen to go and see what happens. So you have ridden the Motatapu before. Tell us about that. When was that, and what was that about?
So I actually did it back in the day when it used to be a cross trail. They used to have the cross trail option, so you'd swim around Glendhu and then do the Motatapu course, and then there was a pretty heinous run in Arrowtown afterwards. I'd sort of got into triathlon when I was at uni, and I'd just bought a mountain bike a couple months before, and I hadn't really done much riding on it, and I kind of just signed up for it. I was taking a year off. I'd done an undergrad at uni, was taking a year off before I went back and did my master's, and my plan was to just go and do a bunch of races. But that was 2020, so I think Motatapu might have actually been the last race in New Zealand for that year. Signed up for that, and actually ended up winning my age group, I think, and qualifying for Worlds, which never ended up going ahead because of COVID. But it was cool. There wasn't a lot of cross tries around at the time, and there kind of still isn't really. So it was.
That's right. Do we start saying bring back the Motatapu triathlon again?
For sure. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people stoked on that.
Yeah, no, that's good. So we'll talk a little bit more specifically about the Motatapu and what that's about and how you're looking to approach it. But I guess you come on my radar as a result of the Edition Zero gravel race late last year that was on, and ended up being caught up in a sprint finish for the finish line after 240 odd Ks. of racing that you're hearing around the velodrome in Waimate. That's pretty amazing. That was an amazing day.
I wasn't expecting a sprint after 9 odd hours of racing, but it was a pretty epic way to end the race, and I think it was cool for the women's race to put on a bit of a show and get people super hyped about it. Pretty cool way to finish, and
yes. So you're obviously tell us a bit more about, like, you've come from a triathlon background, how long you've been sort of involved in cycling, and whereabouts are you at in that cycling journey?
So like I say, I kind of got into triathlon when I was at uni in Dunedin, but I mean, classic story, I just keep getting injured running, so I ended up doing more and more cycling, and they've got a really awesome club there, so would like do their Monday night racing and the handicap races, and decided to make a switch to cycling, got a coach, and have been kind of doing the road thing for the past few years. I went over to Italy 2 years ago and did a little stint over there for about 2 months, and then last year I've been racing with the Black Magic women's cycling team, and went and did 5 months in Europe last year, which is pretty insane. But also did a bit of gravel racing in New Zealand, like before and after that campaign, and kind of came away from 2025 having learned a lot about gravel racing and about road cycling in Europe, and kind of the gravel racing was sort of more speaking to me, and that's kind of what's exciting me at the moment. So kind of pivoting towards that this year, and going to get stuck into the New Zealand scene over the next few months, do a couple of mountain bike races as well, and some gravel racing, and then try put together a bit of an international block, and goal is to head over to Europe, do some UCI races, maybe try some of the Gravel Earth series races, and then Gravel Worlds is actually in Australia next year, so that's a pretty unique opportunity to try qualify for that. That's kind of the route we're going down.
It's a pretty cool pathway that you've taken, and obviously you've got some legs. You've obviously done pretty well to be able to, go to Europe to race is pretty incredible, and with that Black Magic crew would be pretty amazing. How does gravel cycling compare to road cycling? What's the differences in terms of these big races that you get internationally?
I think the sports are structured quite differently. Like, obviously, in road cycling, it's very much a team sport. You race as a team, you go in with a team, you have a team plan, you're sort of under team management. And then, whereas gravel, whether or not it continues to stay this way as it evolves, is more of, I guess, an individual pursuit. You race as a privateer, most people, have your own personal sponsors. And I guess that also makes the racing quite different. You don't have teams controlling the race so much. And I'm definitely more drawn to the longer styles of racing. Like, I'd rather just go out and smash it for 8 hours rather than, do 2 or 3 hours around a circuit. That's much more my style. And also just drawn to the places that gravel races are. I did all the racing in Belgium, which is, it's great. It's, amazing to learn, but doesn't really speak to me. You see where these gravel races are popping up all over the world, and they're just in stunning locations, and especially with the longer ones, the amount of terrain you get to cover and the places you get to see, that's kind of what's really exciting to me about gravel racing.
You're talking to maybe the back end of the field of the Motatapu, so as you're saying, 8 hours of riding your gravel bike. So maybe we're talking about the 6 hour mark instead of the end of the field too. But that's one thing down in the Waimate race, is that sprint was after 9 hours. Was that right? On your bike?
Yeah, pretty much.
You've obviously got an engine to be able to kind of be out there and to kind of keep on tapping the pedals out for that length of time, and to be drawn to that side of racing is super impressive. What does your week look like? It just feels like, to be able to get that good at riding, you've just got to ride your bike lots and lots and lots and lots. Would that be fair to say, or what do you tend to do?
Yeah, that's kind of my ideal life. I I'd love to just ride my bike. Like if I could just go out and ride my bike all day, every day, that would be the dream. A little bit more difficult when you're trying to balance it with work, because obviously all these cycling pursuits are not cheap. So I do as much as I can around that. But yeah, it's a lot of volume. A lot of like longer efforts, especially for something like Edition Zero, where it's like it's a long day out. You're constantly on the pedals. Yeah, there's some intensity in parts, but there's like 3 big long climbs. That's kind of how I like to ride my bike.
Good job. And you're based in Wanaka, so Motatapu is sort of a bit of a hometown race for you. So it's another reason that you need to turn up for it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And that was a big draw to it. Like I don't know if. Like I haven't ridden my mountain bike. I've always had a mountain bike and I've always ridden it, but not as much as like the road and the gravel bike. And I think having a race, like, you know, living in Wanaka, it being my home race, it was like, a huge incentive to like, okay, I want to get back on the mountain bike and do something a bit different and get back into Motatapu.
And since you've got that engine and you know, like the duration isn't just absolutely not an issue for you. It's kind of feels like you just need to push full send and early on and just kind of see what happens. Is that kind of how you'll go, knowing that I'm probably not going to tie up or cramp up or slow down? I'm just going to keep going at this pace.
Yeah, well, I guess that's the thing I have to work on, is I can just sit at like a moderately uncomfortable pace all day, but it's the higher intensity stuff, the short accelerations that I really struggle with. But I guess, Motatapu is just kind of full send from the start. I mean, the thing that's probably going to let me down is my like descending skills. So I feel like I'll probably just go ham until the top of the climb and then just, you know, make up as much ground as I can there and then hang on for dear life until I get narrowed down.
Get down in one piece, I think, is part of it, isn't it? Like there is.
For sure.
It's the faster you go, the bigger the mess sort of scenario on some of that downhill.
Absolutely.
And as a result of that, can get pretty sketchy. There's a bit of red mist that comes down from some people and can get a bit tricky, but also it's good fun as well coming down that.
Absolutely.
That finish line.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
One of the challenges around this course is the grassy section over the top that often there's a little bit of a headwind, and even if there's not a headwind, it feels like there's headwind because you're pedaling through it anyway. A little bit uphill, the grass just slows you down so you don't feel like you're going as well. I mean, how do you approach that stuff mentally? It feels like it's similar to like an 8-hour gravel ride that you're just kind of grinding it out and not looking too far ahead. How do you do that stuff for yourself?
Well, honestly, with the wind we had this spring, I feel like a lot of my training has just been sitting on the road, on the gravel, into a headwind, putting in so much effort and getting so little return for it. So I feel like I'm well accustomed to doing that now. And you know, riding with like resistance of like the grass is probably, I've just had so much practice of doing that into the wind now that I feel like it's probably going to be a similar sort of story.
I get the feeling that you're the type of person that actually, I just enjoy riding my bike, so I don't really care. Like it beats working. I'm just out here doing this anyway. Would that be fair?
Oh, absolutely. I just love riding my bike. And I think that's kind of maybe like one of the parts of like racing in Europe that I maybe didn't click with me is like we would race so frequently that you'd kind of just be constantly like tapering or recovering. And then you go out and race every like weekend, and I just like I don't get to ride my bike that much.
Yes.
So yeah, exactly. Like I just love to ride my bike. That's kind of all I want to do. So and like in Wanaka on the Motatapu course and like with such insane scenery, like I kind of don't really care. I'd rather be suffering, you know. That's the way I'd like to suffer, is, you know.
Yeah. And are you, when you are suffering, or even just in events in general, are you a talker? You sort of chat to others around you, or you're very much, I'm in my own head doing my own thing?
I think probably like in my own head against competition, but when there's like so many people out on course of like all different abilities out there doing for different reasons, I'll have a yarn to people. I did the Glenorchy gravel grind in October, and the amazing thing about that course is that it's like 4 out and backs, and there's lots of people, different people doing all sorts of distances. So you see people coming, and you get to like see all the race, and you see all the different races coming out. But yeah, I'll give people a holler, like, you know, give them some encouragement. You know, like if you're passing someone, you're like, you know, on your right, on your left, but like, you know, you're like, good job on the way through. I mean, I love all these like local events. And the more people that can get involved in them, the better. So yeah,
that's awesome. That's good. So I mean, that's part of the vibes, isn't it? Is to cheer each other on and help each other out. As long as you're not hollering too much on the downhill, as you're just hanging on for grim death. As part of it. Do you get nervous on the start line at all? Like, obviously you've raced lots of races all overseas. Is that still a thing for you? Because I know it's definitely a thing for others.
Oh, for sure. I think it kind of depends on the type of racing, and I mean, the nerves are probably directly related to how much pressure I put on myself for the race, and also the length of the race. Like, I feel with something like Edition 0, like, it's such a long day. The start doesn't matter so much. Like, the immediate start off the start line, you kind of know there's so much that's going to happen out there. With like a shorter race, it's like, okay, the stakes are a little bit higher. Like, you know, you have to start well. So it's like the pressure is right there on the start line. So yeah, for sure, something I still deal with. But I think once you're in the race, you know what to do, and you just have to trust that you're going to make the right decisions in the race once you're in it. Like, once you're in it, the nerves disappear. So I guess it's just like trying to trust that as soon as the gun goes off, the nerves will go, and you'll just be like present and in the moment, and making the best decisions for yourself and in the race, and trusting that you'll do that. But for sure, nerves are still play a part in my racing. Absolutely.
That's good to hear. And you said one key thing around that was, you said it depends on the expectations I put on myself. That's a key piece, isn't it? And obviously those expectations means that you care more about the event, so therefore you're going to put you're going to be more nervous as a result of that. So I guess that's one thing to play with as well, is that if you just want to finish, actually just go and enjoy it, soak it up, and
absolutely
includes the start line as well, rather than sort of the event. There's great vibes to be had there as well.
Oh, exactly. Like, I mean, if you've trained for the event, like, you know, you've done all the work to get there. Like, it'll be what it'll be on the day, but there's so many people out there, and there's like, you know, such good vibes if you like go to all the pre-race stuff and get involved, and especially like, you know, at the end there's like basically a party when everyone's finishing. Like, the whole day is just like a celebration of all the work that you've done to get to that point. So you might as well enjoy it.
That's awesome. Cam Jones won the mountain bike event last year, and he was with his parents, and he actually rode back to get the car afterwards. Is that something that you'll look to do, or what will happen after the race for you? We'll be chilling out with the parents. That
definitely just crossed my mind. Get the parents to bring the road bike over and ride back over the Crown Range, maybe. But we'll see how I'm feeling at the finish line. If I want to get
that's right. That's definitely not a requirement. What about the river crossings for you? Like you mentioned on the downhill, it's probably not you prefer the uphill more, but how do you go on those river crossings, having sort of ridden it 6 years ago?
I mean, it's funny you say that. Like, that was quite a long time ago now. So I honestly, like, when I did that race, I had a mountain bike for a couple of months, and I didn't really have a lot of skills, and I got through it somehow. So I must have tackled it all right. But I think I've done a bit of like river crossings with like gravel racing, and I actually did, before I got a gravel bike, I did the Glenorchy grind on my road bike, and there's like over 20 river crossings on that, and so that was an interesting experience. But I think the main thing with that, especially I found like with gravel riding as well, because you can come into them with quite a lot of speed, and obviously you lose a lot of speed when you go into the water, but if you come in with a lot of speed, you don't have a chance to see what's going on underneath the water and picking a line and stuff. So I think you don't want to come in like at a standstill, because you need some momentum to get through, because obviously the water's going to sap a lot of speed out of you. But I think carrying enough speed that you can get through, but not coming in too fast that you don't have a chance to see where you're going. So Yeah, and also it depends on the river crossings. I know some like the earlier fords you go through and then you come up a hill, being in the right gear.
Yes.
So like getting into an easy gear beforehand, because you lose a lot of speed, and then if you go straight into a climb and you're like in your smallest ring of the bag, like there's no way you're getting up that. So
yes, I wish I'd talked to you a number of years ago along those lines. I've broken a chain as a result of being too aggressive coming out.
Exactly. Yeah.
What am I doing? Yep.
Yeah,
if you do have a too big a gear, I find it's just a matter of actually just jump off your bike, push yourself up, get back on your bike rather than just smashing it and potentially
I've
breaking
definitely
things.
done that before. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. But have you got any tips for first timers lining up this event, Motatapu mountain bike event?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm probably not the most qualified person to give tips on mountain biking, but I'm actually a qualified nutritionist. I did my master's in sports nutrition. So I feel like my biggest tip to people would be to get your fueling right, because it makes a hell of a lot of difference. And to start practicing that in training now, like this is a perfect time, a couple months out, to practicing actually fueling on the mountain bike, getting enough in, playing around with different things. Like it doesn't, finding what you like, finding what sits well with you. It doesn't have to be super expensive gels, lollies. I feel a lot of my training off lollies. But just take into account, I guess, like the technicality of the course and what's actually and how confident of a mountain biker you are, and how easy it is to eat that stuff. If you have to drink anyway, whether you rely more on liquids, depending on how long you're out there, obviously. You want some solid food in there as well, but I think that would be my biggest tip, because especially like finishing with a descent, like a lot of people think about, fueling's really important to give your muscles the fuel they need to maintain power output and stuff, but it's also really important to like maintain your cognitive ability when it comes like that late in the race, and be switched on and make sure your brain's actually got enough glucose to not crash your bike and know where you're going and stuff. So that would be my first step.
That's great tips. And I think you're right. Like the Camelback with sports drink in it is a great way to, you're drinking anyway, let's get some energy in that too.
Exactly. Don't have to take your hands off the bars. I mean, I'm probably gonna rely mostly on fluids to get my carbs in for this race, so maybe chuck a couple of gels in there, but that'll probably be my strategy.
I think that's a great strategy. Keen to always hear different ideas. First of all, what's your sort of go-to lollies, sort of sweets that you go with?
I'm big into licorice all sorts at the moment, actually.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and you can actually buy like the licorice tool sorts, and they're basically a bar, so they're like super practical. You don't have to like shove a whole handful of lollies in your mouth and try to do that. You can just like have a bar to chew on. Big fan of those. Big fan of lolly snakes.
Yeah, good. Less choking hazard there as well.
Yeah,
lolly snakes as well. I like it. And what about food? If you're sort of out for a longer ride, or for those that will be doing the Motatapu, it's going to take them a bit longer, and food is an important part of the picture.
I think carbs are the name of the game. So anything you can get carbs in. I'm actually a massive fan of honey sandwiches. Like super cheap, super simple, super easy, straight carbs, not a lot of fiber in them, so they digest really well. I also jumped on the Rice Krispie trend. I make my own Rice Krispies with like melted marshmallows and rice bubbles, and like pack them into a slice. I go through a lot of those.
It might be the reason why you tend to go well in these longer events and come good at the end, because you're having a kid's birthday party.
For sure, No, especially the longer stuff, like that really makes that makes a difference. If you're not fueling those right, then you'll know about it.
Yeah, good stuff. I love this fact that this mountain bike chat has evolved into a nutrition chat as well. I'm going to keep going along those lines and ask you, what about breakfast? What are some good breakfast options that you go? What's your go-to sort of breakfast, or what are some options that you'd sort of recommend there?
I think keeping it lower in fiber. I think, I mean, oats work for some people, but there is a hell of a lot of fiber in there, and especially if the intensity is high, that can for sure come back to haunt you. So I've actually been doing pancakes recently ahead of like my hard sessions.
Yeah. Do you make your pancakes from scratch, or do you get like you can get pie clips in the in a bag?
I mean, or do something like that. I usually just make them from scratch. Either that, or usually like my go-to pre-race meal is something rice based. So especially if I'm traveling to races, like a can of creamed rice and a tin of peaches. Gets the job done.
I love it.
It's a lot glamorous, but like you can get a hell of a lot of carbs in fairly easily.
Yeah, and tasty
if
as
you're
well.
Waking up early, yeah. Not a lot of chewing required. Like you're waking up early to race. Yeah. Or like pretty much. Yeah. Don't be afraid to like add a glass of juice in there. Or like lower fiber cereals like cornflakes, rice bubbles with a banana. They go down pretty well too. But I think worth playing around with in your training beforehand to figure out what works for you and what sits best.
Good stuff. And post recovery nutrition before you maybe ride that bike back over the Crown Range and back home again, or whether you are sitting at the finish line, what are you going for there?
If I'm looking for like immediate recovery and I don't have like a meal plan, then I will usually down a protein shake and like a can of Coke or a can of Sprite or something. And then maybe top that up with like a muesli bar or banana. I try to get in like 20 to 30 grams of protein and about 1 gram per kilogram of body weight of carbs within 30 minutes, ideally, to just like kickstart the recovery process.
Nice. Yeah. I think there's a bunch of people that just switched off because they're probably drinking beer at the finish line. But for some, it'll be useful. I wanted a few tips around recovery, especially for training anyway.
Well, I mean, hey, if it's your one race that you're building up to and, you're going to have a bit of a recovery week afterwards, have your beer after the finish, if that's what you want to do. If you're going straight into a training session the next day, then maybe have a little more of a think about how you plan that immediate recovery meal.
What are you most looking forward to in regards to the Motatapu?
I'm looking forward to getting back on the course. Like, it's pretty special that you get to ride that, you don't get to ride that section of trail any other time. So I like riding my bike in new places. So I'm excited to get back on the course, to race my mountain bike again. I've kind of only ever raced my mountain bike once or twice. So that'll be a kind of a new experience. And just like get amongst the vibes. I feel like all like these like grassroots kind of community races, like the vibes are just so good. Everyone's so stoked to be there. People are doing it for all sorts of reasons. There's having a chat to people on the start line and at the finish line, and it's always just a good vibe.
Good. Going for the vibes. I like it. That's awesome. Well, look forward to seeing you there, Michaela. We'll be cheering you on. You'll be at the finish well and truly a long time before I will be. But all the best for your training, and we'll look forward to catching up with you soon.
Cheers. Thanks very much for having me on.
Cool. Well done. Thanks, Michaela.